The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 31st, 2020. This is episode 226. And this week, Soul Cages. And you know me, I'm not your echo chamber, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome back to another episode, live, or if you're listening later, not live.
Yeah, whether it's live or not live, it's okay. You're still on the team. I realized at the beginning of every episode, I'm still saying this week and then the title of the show. But we do 3 shows a week now. How has it taken me 6 months to realize this fly in the ointment of our opening? But that's okay. Nobody's complained.
Your time references are always wacky anyway.
It's
like this week, this month, today.
Time
yesterday.
Is a flat circle.
I know, it's flat and circular. All right.
Oh, Gonzo. Well, I have an admission to make.
Uh-oh.
I was a little bit late for the show, but I let you know beforehand, so It didn't catch you by surprise. But I was, as usual, very hungry right before the show.
Oh boy.
But I didn't want to be even more late, so I skipped any sort of real food, and I made a conglomeration of nutritional powders into a shake, and I kind of just mixed them all together. There was like some algae and some mushroom powders and some superfoods and some green energy powders. I had about 5 or 6 different powders, mixed them all together, blended them up, chugged it on down. And there is a non-zero chance that I will have to turn off my microphone and my camera and go puke sometime during this show.
Good to know. Do it on air.
Yeah,
that's good radio.
There's a lot of really exciting things to put in my body on an empty stomach right before, I'm going to be trapped in a chair for 2 hours or something. So we'll see. It'll make it exciting. But if I do disappear completely, it's because something horrible has happened, and I have sealed my own fate by testing the nutritional limits that my body can handle.
Yeah, you think you're doing good to your body, but then you put in all that healthy stuff all in one giant mix, and you're asking
It's
for
happened
trouble.
before. Yeah, it's a dangerous thing trying to be healthy. I'll either be running on pure white hot jet fuel and feeling great, or my body will say, "Nope, let's try this again, mister."
Well,
so there you go. That's the case if I disappear.
Okay, good. If I disappear, it's because the throbbing pain in my left calf is to the point where it's unbearable. I think I got bit by a spider.
Your left calf?
My left calf. And I think I got bit a couple days ago. And yesterday I woke up, I stood up and I almost fell over from the pain. And it just hurts, and it's swelling, and I mean, I don't know if
it's been like this for more than a day.
Yeah, it's been like 2 days. It might be infected.
Oh, yeah. You might need a doctor more than I do, but we'll see. This is a good test. This is a good test. Who has a medical emergency first on the show?
We do it. We're gonna keep going forward, rain or shine, puke or infected leg. We're just gonna plow forward. And it's funny too. I was telling the wife, I'm like, hey, leg looking a little swollen, kind of hurts a lot when I stand up. Anytime I was reading some stuff and it said elevate your leg, so I was doing that. And then anytime I get up, it's just so much pain. And she goes, "I'm pregnant. I have no sympathy for you." And I'm like, "You're 100% correct. I don't deserve it." Yeah, baking soda for spider bites. I saw that and I mentioned it to the wife, and she said, you have to do that right away, like right when you get the spider web. You can't do it like 2 days afterwards. So I'm
sorry,
thinking,
you have to do what? What is this solution?
Baking powder or baking soda.
Yes, baking
paste.
soda. Yes.
Yeah, to like suck out
very effective. Oops, I've messed up our notes somehow. Let me see if I can put it back. A very effective bee sting solution as well. A little bit of
Yes.
baking powder and some water, and just slurp it on there as thick as you can. Takes away the pain, takes down the swelling. Okay, there's your alternative medicine tips for the day. Not alternative, folk medicine. It's been our folk medicine whatever segment. All right. I think it's time to get into a Flippy update, unless you have anything else to talk about.
No, and actually I think this vampire Flippy might be able to help both of us. I'm being sarcastic.
Don't give it away. Electronicdesign.com. Hit me with that Flippy jingle.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Do you want fries with that? For those who don't know, Flippy is the colloquial name for the lovely disembodied arm, robotic. Oh my gosh, I've lost it. That's what I try to get for extemporaneously doing this. Flippy is our colloquial name for the lovely disembodied robotic arm who is taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our aspect of our lives. Uh-oh. Okay, I think this is just normal show burps. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. I'm over on electronicdesign.com. Medical vampire robot seeks human vein, inserts needle, sucks blood. Oh no. This nearly autonomous medical robotic system uses ultrasonic imaging to locate a suitable forearm vein, then inserts a needle at the critical angle and distance, and finally draws a sample of blood. Finally draws a sample of blood. Oh my gosh. Inserting a needle into the vein in someone's arm and drawing a blood sample or inserting an intravenous line is a common medical procedure and often an essential first step in patient care. The challenge of obtaining successful venous access ranges from easy to very difficult depending on the subject's veins and physiology, as well as the skill of the medical technician. Oftentimes, it ends in a frustrating, unsuccessful outcome that requires retries, delays, and even additional help. This clinical procedure is performed more than 1.4 billion times yearly in the United States. Wow, that seems like way too many times. However, according to clinical studies, it fails in 27% of patients without visible veins, 40% of patients without palpable veins, and 60% of emaciated patients. Instrumentation with ultrasound imaging is available to assist clinicians in locating the vein, but manual needle insertion under ultrasound guidance requires a careful hand-eye coordination for steady placement and control of both the probe and needle. Near-infrared imaging systems are also used, but they have a penetration depth of only about 3 millimeters and tend to be ineffective with obese patients. Wow, I feel like I just got a really good crash course in taking blood. Now, on to the good stuff. Now, a team based in Rutgers University has developed and is field testing a nearly autonomous robotic system that locates a likely suitable vein, inserts the needle, and even draws the blood sample. This venipuncture device is designed to safely perform blood draws on peripheral forearm veins. The system combines ultrasound imaging and miniaturized robotics to identify suitable vessels for cannulation and robotically guide an attached needle towards what's called the lumen center. Clinician does the setup of general positioning of the machine with respect to the subject's arm, sterilizing, wiping the target zone, applying ultrasound hydrogel, and selecting the target's veins center as displayed on a monitor. These coordinates are then used by the device to determine the necessary kinematics to ensure that the needle tip intersected the ultrasound imaging plane at the vessel center. Woo! Once aligned and steady, the operator then initiates the insertion procedure, and the injection axis carriage drives the attached needle tip forward at a 25-degree angle relative to the participant's arm to the target of the vein center, inserts the needle, and draws 5 milliliter blood samples. Boom. There you go. This is a very involved article. It was very well laid out, only about a dozen words that I don't know what they mean. But long story short, it's nursing has been one of those professions,
Fields,
vocations, if you will, that have been considered, impact resistant from the robotic takeover. But it seems like one by one, the nurses' jobs are getting taken over as well. So, I think.
I was just going to say this. If you want to go do some kind of black market thing here, we can buy a whole bunch of these and move to China and have some kind of underground opium den where we have like this heroin lab place.
Yeah.
Where people can sit there and,
your entire paragraph there gives me such a clear example, Gons, of how much you know about heroin and opium. So that's good to know.
I've seen movies. Don't they like stick a needle in their arm with?
Yeah, but people do that in America too. You don't need to.
I know, but
opium den.
We have to get out of the country if we're going to do black market.
Smoked in a opium pipe.
Yeah, opium.
But
all right.
anyways, there you go. Safe blood draws. No human needed. Well, I guess a little human needed, or a regular sized human, but just a little bit of attention there. So this is I could see Sweden putting this into work at their safe, medically supervised heroin clinics. If you have a heroin problem over there in some of those Scandinavian countries, you just go to
Sweet.
I will say, fun story. Along the lines of Sweden and heroin.
How come you know so much about heroin?
I was in Sweden once, and I pulled into a parking garage, and there was just a very pleasant-looking Swedish man shooting up some heroin. It was very exciting.
Exciting. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that on the streets of L.A., just walking around.
Yeah, see, in Sweden, it was much more as cleanly. It was safe.
They're clean drug addicts over there?
Apparently. He looked like he didn't look like a normal American heroin addict. He looked like a Scandinavian prince who just happens to occasionally shoot up heroin in a parking garage.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's your Flippy update. Vampire robot. Flippy's going vampire. Let's move on. We got some quick updates, and then we'll get to some of the main stories here.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
The four horsemen of technology.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special. Aliens.
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Ooh.
All right. So, of course, on Twitter, if my little thing would load here. Come on, computer. Oh, it disappeared. There it is again. Elon Musk tweeted out. Come on, little circle. There it is. Aliens built the pyramids. OBV, like obviously.
Right.
So yeah, there you go. There's your.
So there we go. We've got the
we figured it out.
Handed down from Elon Musk.
Elon Musk said
he
it.
He really does just kind of tweet whatever he wants, huh?
Yeah. Apparently, he's not listening to his partner Grimes, and he's just ignoring her with the the phone thing. Or she said, "Hey, more
Grimes
tweets about
might
aliens."
Be on board with that.
Yeah, maybe she's the one that told him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he replied to himself, Ramses II was cool with the shades and happy face.
Okay, Elon.
The Great Pyramid was the tallest structure made by humans for 3,800 years. 3,800 years.
Wow.
He wrote it in numbers and in English letters. Anyway, I think he might be doing some heroin. We're going to move on here.
He's been known to experiment with different drugs.
Yeah. All right. Some other updates here.
$100 billion.
I don't have any money.
Have you noticed the dollar going down? The dollar index?
I have not been paying attention.
Oh,
no.
Not looking good, man. And this is Forbes.com. How bad was second quarter GDP really? And this is hilarious. The Advanced Gross Domestic Product report shows that in the second quarter of 2020, U.S. GDP declined at an annual rate of 32.9%. They just couldn't quite get it to 33%. They were so close.
Couldn't quite let it get to 33.
They were so close.
Wow, that's funny. What kind of messaging is that?
I think it's they're saying, hey, just round it up. We're close enough.
Maybe that, or maybe they're like, don't worry, everything's going to be fine, elites.
Yeah. Headlines called it a historically poor showing, the biggest single quarter decline in GDP since 1947, when the government began tracking the figure using modern methods. So,
wow.
Yeah, there you go. Your dollar is going down. Now, it's crazy.
GDP, if I'm not mistaken, GDP is just a reflection of all of the money that changed hands within the country, correct?
I think so. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, America's profit or anything like that. I think it's a total number of money that changed hands altogether, which I could be wrong. That's my current understanding, and somebody please feel free to correct me on that. But if that's the case, that's not very surprising at all. Well, I do find more interesting the 32.9 as a signaling number.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, part of it too is that they printed $6 trillion in this quarter, and so for it to go down while they printed so much money. And that's why the dollar is devaluing. And then, Trump tweeted out the other day that like, hey, your houses are going to go up. The prices of houses are going to go up. And it's one of those issues where it's like, yeah, that's because, they hide hyperinflation with things like real estate and make it seem like you're making more money. But in fact, your dollar purchasing power is going down. And it's going down comparatively to other currencies around the world.
And
yes,
all the talk. Everybody in chat, I know that the letters GDP mean gross domestic product. I understand that the words exist. But actually, right here we go. Essentially, GDP is the total value of all goods and services produced in a country over a period of time.
Right.
So, yeah, it's on a manufacturing level, everything that was produced and sold, as well as services too. Things like Uber and, maid services, things like that.
Right. And speaking of 33 updates.
33 is the number of completion of the great work. The first temple of Solomon stood for 33 years. David ruled for 33 years in Jerusalem. The Masonic order divided into 33 symbolic degrees. There are 33 segments in the human spinal column. Jesus was crucified in the 33rd year of his life.
This is news.yahoo.com, and we talked about this in the last episode. Trump, Kodak will manufacture pharmaceuticals under Defense Production Act. And I think somebody in the chat mentioned this while we were on air last time, but it says here, President Trump...
This was related to Kodak going into pharmaceuticals.
Yes, as the title states. President Trump Act.
Booyah.
33rd time.
That's right. And it keeps repeatedly being reported that Kodak is going to produce the ingredients for pharmaceuticals, such as those required to create hydrochloroquine. They want us to remember that that's related. If Trump is doing anything, first they lambasted him for not using the Defense Production Act, and now he uses the Defense Production Act, but it's for that silly hydrochloroquine that is such a scam. So, the guy just can't win. It's okay. We get 33rd use of the Defense Production Act. He said it 3 times. So
there you go. Lots of
33 times 3.
Yeah.
99. And for
99.
those who don't know, if you're new to the show, we like to keep track of the 33 number showing up in well, geopolitics, national politics, anywhere in the news, because 33 is commonly known to be some sort of signaling number for the elites, sort of a hiding in plain sight type of situation. And so we don't know exactly what is being communicated every time 33 is used, but it is commonly known as a signaling number for, messaging on a broad scale.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's why we pay attention to 33, baby.
Yeah, and of course the 33 degrees of Freemasonry is a common theme or a common point of reference that comes up often. And 33 degrees longitude and latitude, placing all kinds of different things, monuments and stuff, ancient structures, all aligned there. But yes, that was our little 33 update. We got a quick, short race wars update here.
The race wars.
Race wars.
The race war. I've warned you and warned you and warned you.
And this one is from MSNBC. Trump use of federal forces in U.S. cities, a failed experiment. And so they're pulling out the federal troops from Portland. Did you hear about this, Basil?
No, I did not hear about this.
Yeah. So they're pulling out. And so you got the Democratic leader there in Portland. I just want to point out the hypocrisy here in this clip. She was asked about what kind of deal it took to get the federal police out of their city, and here's what she said.
Look, what was really clear is that this was a political strategy. It was not about problem solving. It was purely about political theater and scoring points with Trump's base. And clearly their political strategy has backfired. They are leaving. Trump's troops are leaving the city of Portland, and that's a very good thing.
Okay.
Now,
so
does this mean they're abandoning the federal courthouse? Or?
No. So they're going to have. So this governor here is going to Kate Brown in Oregon. She's going to deploy the local police to do the protecting of. According to her, she's going to be.
Yeah,
letting
she
them.
Did that in the first place.
I know.
Wouldn't have needed to call the feds in.
Well, that's the thing is we're not going to play the whole 5-minute little interview thing here, but basically she claimed that the federal police stepping in actually caused all the violence. And I don't know if you caught the little hypocrisy in there about what she said, but she's like, oh, Trump used this for political reasons.
Right.
And then she calls it the Trump troops, as if she's not
Trump troops,
as if she's not being political in this little position here. So I don't know. Politics is so filled with hypocrisy all over the place.
No,
you're
being political. No, you're being political.
That's political to call me political.
I'm just a politician.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on what's going on there because apparently she spoke with the vice president and they agreed to pull out the federal police. And we'll see what happens to Portland if the peaceful protests continue.
Peaceful protests intensify.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, more googly eyes makes you look like a big joke. Stupid idiots. Awesome. Super nice, truth be known, on YouTube. I'm just reading a comment.
Stop reading comments. You've got another update to go. I will block him for you.
Just real nice people in the comments all the time.
Let's see. Pretty good. I'm liking this blocking thing. Somebody says something that annoys me, I just bye.
Yeah, I don't like doing that though. I let people speak their minds.
I have fun.
Yeah, you have fun. Okay, one more quick update here.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
This will set us up for the whole Epstein releasing of all the documents. Finance.yahoo.com. This is more of like a just letting you guys know type of thing. The ritual abuse problem, Scotland and the United States. First online conference due to COVID-19. Basically, they have an annual ritual abuse and mind control conference, which was moved online. I think we reported on them having this a few weeks ago, but because of the whole Ronas, they're moving it to online. And so anybody that wants to attend, maybe something to take a look at, ritualabuse.us/smart conferences, August 8th and 9th. That's Saturday and Sunday. and they'll be talking about ritual abuse and just the effects of it. And I don't think they get into the spiritual side of things. I think this is more from like a secular perspective, but at least they're having the discussion.
I think, I anybody who wants to talk about it and bring it to the light, and because it's all attached to the Epstein issue and the ongoing sex trafficking going on all around the world, very closely related. So another one of those things, the more it can get brought into the light, then no matter, what perspective it's coming from, as long as it's in opposition, that's okay with me.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there's before we go on, there's a little section called Misinformation Campaign Against Survivors. And it says that child and ritual abuse survivors and their advocates have been attacked by misinformation campaigns the last several years. So, again, they're addressing some of the bigger issues with this topic. And so anyway, just wanted to let you guys know. I don't know the validity of all the people that are speaking. Once again, I didn't do all the digging or the research on it, but I wanted to let you all know so that if you know somebody or are curious, you can check it out. And I think it relates to the story here that we're getting into, the plethora of stories regarding the situation with Epstein.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's right. We're going to start over here at courtlistener.com.
Actually, yeah, we didn't talk about this in the prep, but that's just the link to the documents that was released.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so they released a whole bunch of stuff last night, Thursday, the 30th, I think. And from what I understand, there's not anything too groundbreaking for anybody that's been really looking at this for a long time, but a lot of it had to do with the Virginia Giuffre testimonies. But there were some emails between Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein that were in there, and some other things. But I wanted to include the link for anybody curious and wanting to go through it. I'll drop that in the chat, and it'll be in the description or the show notes at canarycrynewstalk.com.
Yeah.
So,
and these were the documents that Alan Dershowitz was trying to get his hands on, correct?
I'm not 100% sure, but...
Okay. Well, let's go on to this next story then, because it's all connected. Newsweek.com. The title is Alan Dershowitz says Dershowitz claims unsealed documents regarding Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. And I'll just say it. Because people keep wanting me to say it. We know that it's not pronounced Ghislaine Maxwell. It's pronounced Ghislaine. But she does not deserve the respect of me pronouncing her name correctly. So
her name in the emails was G-Max, I think. Is the way Epstein referred to her. So
cool.
Maybe we can do that. Hey, what up, G-Max?
No way. I'm not going to call her that. Alan Dershowitz claims unsealed documents regarding Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, proved he, quote, never had sex with anyone associated with Epstein, after the files outlined allegations against him. An accuser named Jane Doe No. 3 in the documents claimed to have been trafficked to Dershowitz and claimed Jane Doe No. 3 was forced by the financier, who was found dead in a New York jail cell while awaiting trial, to have sexual relations with Dershowitz. Jane Doe No. 3 is said to have kept as a sex slave for Epstein. Virginia Giuffre, who publicly accused Epstein, also claimed to have been with Dershowitz. He has previously denied such allegations. A defamation suit involving Dershowitz was previously settled in 2016, with lawyers having described it as a mistake to accuse him of having sex with a minor. This was also mentioned in the released documents. Contacted by Newsweek, Dershowitz said he had wanted the documents to be unsealed as he believes they indicate Giuffre, quote, made up the entire story about me. The quote continues, the documents prove I never had sex with anyone associated with Epstein, he said, branding those making allegations false accusers and suggesting they were made for financial gain. In regards to allegations that he witnessed abuse, Dershowitz told Newsweek, quote, "I never saw Epstein do anything improper. If I had, I would have reported him. I have sworn to that. When Guthrie said that to her lawyers, she did not say she had sex with me. Her story changed. None of it is true. I never met her. I never saw Epstein in the presence of anyone underage." He also referred to another woman who made allegations against Epstein and said she had sex videos of prominent figures, but later said she invented the claims in an interview with The New Yorker. Newsweek has reached out to Guthrie for comment, through her nonprofit organization, Victims Refuse Silence. The fresh details come after U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska released documents on Thursday, as planned by a July 23rd decision to unseal the files from a 2015 defamation case. Maxwell had lost a bid to block the unsealing. The documents make reference to several other prominent figures. Maxwell was arrested July 2nd, 2020 in New Hampshire with charges of perjury, sex trafficking, and enticement to minors, and remains in custody after being denied bail. She awaits trial and has denied the charges against her. Wow, I can't believe she's survived all of July. Very impressive. Epstein, a prominent financier, was convicted of sexual assault. He was found dead, blah, blah, blah. And then it tells us a story of Epstein after that, which we're all aware of. So, yeah, there you go. Dershowitz just continuing to trying to defend himself, which, he's been having to deal with these allegations for almost 5 years now.
Yeah, but it's interesting how it's almost like a double down. Now that the papers are released, he's like, yeah, it proves me innocence. And it's like, no, I don't know. You're mentioned like 80-something times in these documents.
You're mentioned way too often in these documents.
I mean, maybe once or twice. I think Trump is mentioned once, if I'm not mistaken. He's mentioned once as like a kind of an offshoot type of comment in there, not so much anything specifically he did. But, there's another story that's been, that really popped up as part of, I don't know, maybe an anti-Dershowitz campaign going on too. And this was on meow.com, super duper credible meow.com. Have you heard of meow.com, Basil?
No, I've never heard of it.
You don't know about it? Okay. It says the title of the article, Epstein pal Alan Dershowitz argued statutory rape was an outdated concept. Age of consent be lowered to 15.
Right.
And Alan Dershowitz accused of sleeping with an underage girl in a sensational string of old court records from a settled defamation lawsuit.
Sensational string of court records. What does that mean? What is that trying to message? That's strange.
By alleged Jeffrey Epstein's sex slave Virginia Guthrie once wrote an op-ed arguing that statutory rape is an outdated concept. It has been revealed in the documents which were released publicly on July 30th. Epstein, a convicted pedophile who died in prison last year, was accused of urging Jane Doe number 3 to have sexual relations with Dershowitz. Quote, one such powerful individual that Epstein forced then minor Jane Doe number 3 to have sexual relations with former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, a close friend of Epstein, it said. Let me get to the part here where it talks about some of the things that shaded concept. It was written by Alan Dershowitz, and in the piece, Dershowitz pointed out how many women had admitted to having sex before it was legal in their states, bringing notice to how different states had different ages of consent and how prosecution for cases central question about the continuing legitimacy of statutory rape laws at a time when sex involving teenagers is so rampant and prosecution for statutory rape so selective. It is obvious that there must be criminal sanctions against sex with very young children, but it is doubtful whether such sanctions should apply to teenagers above the age of puberty, since voluntary sex is so common in their age group, is what he wrote. He went on to argue that prosecution in such cases could be avoided by reducing the age of consent. Quote, based on demographic criteria, the age of consent should be lowered, he continued. And further, quote, it certainly should not be as high as 17 or 16. Reasonable people can disagree over whether it should be as low as 14. 15 would seem like an appropriate compromise, end quote. Yeah, kind of gnarly to say that out there.
Well, especially when you're being accused of such crimes.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to prove your innocence, why would you go so far as to try to take a stand to change a law that you allegedly did not break?
Right, and especially the timing of this. This is in, I think, 1997 or something is when this was published. So, yeah, I mean, not looking good, in terms of the data, the stuff that's publicly available. You're not going to hear this on news necessarily, on the mainstream news, certainly.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think Dershowitz is looking too good. And what's really interesting is one of the guys that we've been talking about. And by the way, Basil, I give you permission to throw up during all of this. It would actually make the show. Maybe it'll put us on the map. Make us go viral.
Make a real impression there.
Googly eyes vomits while talking about Epstein case.
There was one more little update regarding this whole thing.
Before you go there, though, the one other thing about Dershowitz that I wanted to mention was Mike Cernovich, who blocked me and blocked a whole bunch of people in the truther community for pointing out some of his inconsistencies and some of the things that he has potentially ties to Mossad and Zionists and stuff. He came out and defended Dershowitz a while ago. And I think Trump even hired him at one point as his lawyer. So I don't know, man. This whole thing is it's just messy, and I don't think we're ever going to get to a hard bottom.
Bowl.
Yeah, but you ask the question, who benefits, and it's hard to tell now. You got on Twitter at least, you have a lot of anti-Trumpers using this opportunity to go after Trump. Oh yeah, see. Trump name mentioned once, very not specific anything, and that validates all these other allegations against him.
Yeah, and the other side of that is everybody. I mean, it's hard to pick a major celebrity or major politician who isn't named in relation to Epstein in one way or another. And that was kind of the whole point, whether or not Epstein was doing his own operation or the theories, which there is some evidence to suggest that he was related to some intelligence communities around the world and was actually doing what he did in cooperation with intelligence agencies in order to build a blackmailing network. Either way, there's all sorts of powerful people mixed up, and which makes it even that much more difficult to prosecute in the end. You got powerful people with interests in keeping it from coming out. That's a difficult thing.
Yeah, and especially when all the outlets that would really externalize the truth about what's going on, when they're all compromised with the same people or the same groups of people at least, and it's like, what do? All you can do is get individual or independent researchers to connect the dots, get out there and share as much as possible.
Independent researchers. I don't believe anything that I don't see on my 6 o'clock news.
All right. Okay.
All right, Newsweek.com here. The article's titled, Bill Clinton went to Jeffrey Epstein's island with 2 young girls, Virginia Guffrey says. Now, of course,
Newsweek.
Most people who listen to this show, this doesn't come as a surprise, but to actually see people talking about this is a big deal because, of course, they love pointing out that Trump is on the flight records for the Lolita Express. That's the airplane that allegedly brought all these powerful people to Epstein's island of sin. But, it's actually, we've got a mainstream outlet here talking about the Clintons' involvement, which, that's nice. We'll mix it up a little bit. It says here, in recently unsealed court documents involving dead child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his alleged accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman named Virginia Guffrey, who publicly accused Epstein of sex trafficking, said that she once saw former Democratic President Bill Clinton on Epstein's island with, quote, 2 young girls from New York. In the questioning by lawyer Jack Scarola, Guthrie was asked, quote, do you have any recollection of Jeffrey Epstein's specifically telling you that Bill Clinton owes me favors? Yes, I do, Guthrie answered. It was a laugh, though. He would laugh it off, you know. I remember asking Jeffrey, what's Bill Clinton? He never told me what favors they were, Guthrie continued. I never knew. I didn't know if he was serious. It was just a joke. He told me a long time ago that everyone owes him favors. They're all in each other's pockets. Shortly thereafter, Scarola asked her, quote, were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? Guthrie responded, yes. Scarola then asked if she was ever present with Epstein and Clinton on the island. Quote, Ghislaine Emmy, who was another girl who was allegedly a regular at Epstein's house. And there was 2 young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them well anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York, Guthrie answered, and they were all staying in Epstein's house on the island. In a statement to Newsweek on Friday, a Clinton spokesperson denied the allegation, saying he was, quote, he has never been to Little St. James Island. The claim had previously been made by Clinton representatives in 2019. Quote, he'd not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade, Angel Urenia added, well before his terrible crimes came to light. Okay, well, just because it's before his crimes came to light doesn't mean that he wasn't there while the crimes were being committed. 7. Continuing on, Epstein had multiple ties to Clinton, and Clinton, along with many other big-name celebrities, was a repeated passenger on Epstein's private Boeing 727 plane, which was nicknamed the Lolita Express due to the frequent delivery of apparently underage women to the island of Little St. James, as reference to the 1955 Vladimir Nabokov novel about a 36-year-old literature professor who sexually engages a 12-year-old girl. In 2002, Epstein hosted Clinton, as well as actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker, on a 2002 tour of Africa associated with the Clinton Foundation. Epstein called Clinton, quote, the world's greatest politician, in a 2002 New York Magazine article in which President Donald Trump mentioned Epstein's predilections for girls. On the younger side, Clinton praised Epstein. In 2015, the now-defunct pop culture and news website Gawker released the flight logbooks for Epstein's Gulfstream and the Lolita Express 727. Clinton is listed as having taken at least 11 flights on the Lolita Express. In one flight, Clinton allegedly flew with a softcore porn actress listed under massages in Epstein's address book. On all 11 flights, he rode with Maxwell and Epstein's former assistant, Sarah Kellen. Kellen has been accused in court filings of recruiting young girls, acting as a pimp on Epstein's behalf. On multiple flights, additional women who flew with Clinton are either listed by only their first name or simply as female. A 2019 statement from the Clinton Foundation claimed that Clinton, quote, knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to, adding, quote, Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane. Quote, supporters of the foundation and his Secret Service detail traveled on every trip. The statement continued, he's not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade and has never been to Little St. James Island, Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, or his residence in Florida. Well, the records show otherwise there, Clinton Foundation. Sorry about that. But yeah, there you go. So we actually have some mainstream news coming out about Clinton's involvement. Again, one of these things that's sort of been relegated to quote unquote fringe websites for years. I mean, years. It's crazy to see this news 2016, 2015, something like that. So there you go. Booyah. Told you.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things to keep in mind here is the blackmail is one thing, but the whole Epstein network of people, you know, again, not just the blackmail, but all this stuff, it has to do more with more than just trafficking. Of course, that's probably the biggest thing, to have that blackmail against people. But I'm sure this had to do with drug trafficking and weapons trafficking and a lot more stuff than just the sex trafficking.
Right.
Because of the blackmail nature of things and how deals were made with other countries and other kings and politicians and all this kind of stuff. It's just something to keep in mind that it's kind of like having all those dark things about our leadership and government and everything else. It is finally coming out, but it's one of those issues where I don't know if it's going to make a difference that much, even though so much of it is public and all you need is a little bit of research to connect everything. And something else to mention, there was a whole bunch of people listed in this release of the documents, including Bill Richardson, George Mitchell, Glenn Dubin. One of the guys I wanted to mention is Marvin Minsky. Do you know who Marvin Minsky is, Basil?
No.
So he's an American scientist born in August 1927. He died in 2016. He was an American mathematician and computer scientist, one of the most famous practitioners of the science of artificial intelligence. Minsky won the 1969 AM Turing Award, the highest honor in computer sciences, for his pioneering work in AI. So, again, it's just interesting how the whole internet and like the topic of AI and machines and all this stuff, computing, seems to have, and this ties into that whole Epstein wanting to be, the transhuman thing that Epstein was into. It all seems to connect to the same sort of people, the same kind of, because this is the top layer, right? This is like the stuff everybody gets to see now. But underneath it is a lot, I'm sure, a lot of more, dark, occultic, satanic. If the people involved in it, people highly prized, are, the kind of people that would hop on the Epstein Express or whatever and go do whatever.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. And just to reiterate for people, making a big deal about how we've known about Clinton and the Lolita Express for years, we agree with you. We've been talking about it for years as well. We're not trying to bring breaking news here. The point is that this is finally getting into the mainstream media, and we want to track how it's presented in the mainstream media, because that's going to affect conversations that we have with people in our own lives, as well as the end result of the whole case and the whole situation, which isn't, Ghislaine is not scheduled to have her case until 2021. So there's a lot of time for accidents to happen in her hellhole of a prison with self-described hellhole.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, in the Twitch chat, now there's auto mods that we don't have control of in the Twitch chat. They can be.
We got a little control, don't we? I think we can go
a
in the
little
back
bit.
end
I have to go through personally here and allow certain things. Censored is the word Lolita. I've been seeing here people trying to chat about the Lolita Express, and Lolita gets censored, which is very interesting. Why that would be on the list of things that would be censored. So there you go. And that's just an example of why we need to keep track of what the mainstream outlets are saying, because they're going to affect not just the case, not just the conversations with normies and things like that, but also the auto mods on certain websites.
Right. And that's see, Marvin Minsky, this like forefather of AI, his fingerprints are in this right now as we try to do this live, some of those mods and catching those keywords and stuff. One of the other guys mentioned, Bill Richardson. I think he was mentioned, or at least suspected of going to Bohemian Grove, where they worship the giant owl in Northern California. So it's like this thing has been around for a long time. People who have been involved in looking into the truther, so to speak, they've been looking at this for a long time. They've known about this. So nothing new per se, but again, something to keep in mind and something to keep track of is how they're presenting it into the public and how they're trying to steer certain things for political reasons or for cultural reasons, whatever it may be. And to that effect, one of the stories that I saw here, which I thought was just so interesting was dailymail.co.uk exclusive. The girls couldn't be black. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell ordered victim Virginia Giuffre to recruit young white girls, and if they weren't, quote, they had to be exotically beautiful, unsealed docs reveal. And I mean, you kind of get the full picture there. You don't have to go through the whole thing. It's pretty much reiterating a whole bunch of it. But, this is one of those topics because the country is so heated on race. Like, what do you do with this if you're like a black woman? Are you like, hey, these racists? But then they're like,
racism.
You know what I mean? It's just weird. It puts them in a weird position, is what I'm saying. It's like
maybe not. Certainly, the women of color all around the world are also subjected to these sorts of things. But it turned out to not be the case for Epstein. He had very specific tastes.
Yeah, or at least for his net to capture people.
That's right. You want to move on to this next story here?
Yeah, it's kind of, again, along the same lines here, but going into some popery, some papacy.
Space Pope Reptilian.
Go for it. All you, bro.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, here I go. Sorry. Okay, we're coming over here at pinknews.co.uk. I'm not really sure. Let's see.
Oh, this is not an outlet that we would... This is an outlet that we would definitely not endorse. At least I wouldn't. But interesting that it's coming out of that outlet.
I don't know anything about it. But here we go. pinknews.co.uk. Pope Francis accused of following the homosexual agenda of the New World Order by prominent archbishop. Interesting. A prominent archbishop has accused Pope Francis of adhering to the homosexual agenda of the New World Order and said he allows heresy, sodomy, and corruption in the Catholic Church. Archbishop Carla Maria Vigano is an archbishop of the Catholic Church and former Vatican ambassador to the United States, who is well known for his criticism of the Pope. According to Premier Christian News, in a recent interview, Vigano claimed that the leaders of the Catholic Church were mercenary infidels who seek to hand the sheep over to be devoured by ravenous wolves. The archbishop said to Pope Francis, quote, and his entourage, sodomy is not a sin that cries out for vengeance in the presence of God, as the Catechism teaches. Referring to the Pope by his real name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Vigano added, quote, Bergoglio's words on this topic and even more the actions and words of those who surround him unfortunately confirm that an operation of legalization of homosexuality is currently underway and that prelates and theologians are carrying this discussion forward who have manifested without equivocation that they are unfaithful to Catholic teaching. Vigano has previously accused church leaders of covering up allegations of sexual abuse against the now defrocked Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. The Archbishop believes that McCarrick is part of the gay lobby and that there is close link between sodomy and pedophilia, but accused Pope Francis of keeping silent on the issue, quote, in order to not offend the current mentality that is widespread even among many prelates. What are prelates? Is that just congregants?
Yeah, I think it's a congregants, but let me get an official definition.
Why don't you look that up while I keep this going? Vigano added, quote, let's not forget that the legitimacy... what?
It's a bishop or other high ecclesiastical dignitary. But don't say ecclesiastical in the chat, Twitch, because you'll be caught by the algo bots.
Yes, the mods will stop you there. Vigano said, let's not forget the legitimization of homosexuality as part of the agenda of the New World Order, to which the Bergoglio in the social body, but also because sodomy is the principal instrument with which the enemy intends to destroy the Catholic priesthood, corrupting the souls of the ministers of God. Although Pope Francis is certainly more open that his predecessors, when it comes to LGBT plus rights, his stance has been confusing.
I think that's a typo.
Wow, okay.
That's a typo, right?
Little typo alert there.
typo.
There we go. Yeah, so very interesting here. This looks like a, I think this outlet is a LGBT plus, real fringy type.
Yeah, and it's I'm sure that this has been an ongoing issue within even the high ranks of the Catholic Church. I mean, we've known about this in terms of certain whistleblowers from within the papacy in the Vatican over the last few decades even. And so it's nothing new really, but it's fascinating. The divisions taking place in all sectors of society, including the Catholic Church there. But yeah, just a quick New World Order update, because
it's the New World Order. It's here.
Space Pope Reptilian.
Yep, Space Pope Reptilian.
Yeah, interesting. Even with as much conversation about the Vatican and the Catholic power structure, as much as it's pretty widely considered, homogenized. Being held to be pretty all on board with the New World Order. So it's interesting that you have, a leader in that role speaking out against it. You should stay away from hot tubs and small aircraft.
Yeah, I think the guy's name that really spoke out against him was Malachi Martin. And I think he was the guy that he wrote a few books or whatever on the Satanism that was entering the Catholic Church. And then he mysteriously died from falling down a staircase or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, mysterious.
Yeah.
Mysterious.
He's pushed by the Satan demons. But yeah, if anyone is curious, look up Malachi Brendan Martin, who wrote about some of these issues. So there you go.
Okay. There we go. Well, Gons, since we're on a little bit of a shorter timeline today, let's take a very short break.
Let's do it.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. Let's take a break, everybody, real quick. Don't go anywhere because after this very short break, where we will be thanking some of our Twitter followers as well as some producers. We got some COVID updates, some vaccine, some Fauci, all sorts of stuff you're going to want to keep on top of. But, Gons, you got your dinger ready? It's time to thank some new Twitter.
I know. I want some good Twitch names.
All right. Well, we'll see who followed us since last show. I want to thank these people. And to the rest of you, we highly recommend following us on Twitch. It helps us out way more than following us on YouTube. YouTube, we're basically just there to please the masses who don't want to switch over to Twitch. But there may come a day where you will have no choice. So far, Twitch has been pretty good at not pulling some of the stunts that YouTube has on us when it comes to demonetization, to cutting streams, making streams unavailable, deleting videos, that sorts of things, copyright claims, superfluous copyright claims. So if you're watching over on YouTube, we highly recommend, not just because it helps us out, but it'll help you out. Follow us at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Turn on notifications. It's just good to have a little backup there. Okay, and here are our new Twitch followers that came in since Wednesday, last show. Are you ready, Gons?
I've been ready.
He's been ready, everybody. Okay. We got M. Wilba. Thank you, M. Wilba. We got Alchemic Burrito.
Ooh, I like that.
Alchemic Burrito. Nice. Y2KOOS. Y2Koos? Spirit Bear 76.
Ooh, I like bears.
Tyler Baggett 26. Flower Power 1, which is on the list again. Jang Dangler.
What is it?
Jang Dangler.
I
don't know what that is. I feel like it's inappropriate, but we're moving on. And then Craig Burgess Media.
All right.
Yes, that's very good. Thank you so much for all our new Twitch followers. Remember, if you're not following on Twitch, it's a good idea to do so because you get to create a new account. You're not connected to your Facebook account or your Google account or anything like that. So brand new account. And you get to create a new name. You created your YouTube or your Google username years ago before you had all the inspiration from Canary Cry News Talk for cool new names. It's always fun when people work in some Canary Cry lore into their Twitch usernames there. So it's a fun experiment in reinventing a new identity for yourself on Twitch. It's a good time. So head over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio to follow us there. We appreciate that very much. We also want to thank some of our producers of today's show. Now, if you're wondering, we used to ask for donations like many podcasts, and we don't run ads like many podcasts. We don't believe in running ads because, all that is doing is commodifying your attention and your trust in order to, turn around and sell your attention and your trust to a corporation for our own personal gain. And, it's kind of sad how people are becoming complacent with the fact that that's how the world has been running, but it's our personal rebellion against the economy of this fallen world by relying on what's called the value for value model. What is that? Well, we create the show. We do it 3 times a week. We like to think we do a pretty good job. And if you value what we do, please consider becoming a producer and putting value back in, because it's really only because of people who appreciate the media we create and want it to continue. Those are the people who keep the show running over here, the boat afloat, if you will. And it's one of those things where, if people stop producing, it's just a simple equation. If people stop producing the show doesn't get produced. And it's the real world. So if you help this show out financially, just like, any other sort of media business, you are a producer. You're not just a donator. So thank you very much to everybody who's produced the show. And Gons, today we have a couple of producers we want to thank. And first of all, over at patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, we have a new producer named Charlie. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Does he have a chocolate factory?
Yep. Yes, sweet. This is Charlie, the new young owner of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Thank you so much for sharing the wealth. We also have patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, and no new producers over there, which was a little sad, but it did cheer me up to know that Martin, a previous producer, did increase their monthly support. So thank you very much, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.
You are included on the list of producers for this episode. Now, Gons, I don't know if you know this. The listeners know this, but I'll let you in on a little secret, Gons. Gons, if you want to produce the show, but you don't like Patreon, we have another option, and that is canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support. That was cute how you did that. You're like, yeah, I let you in on a secret, buddy.
Thank you very much, Gonzo. I'll let you even more. I'll let you in on some more secret knowledge, Gons, and that's over on canarycryradio.com/support. We have PayPal options. You can join up for recurring producership, which will, it's a monthly basis, and that's a solid foundation for the show. Or if commitment's not your thing, you can make a one-time donation in any amount, and that seems to have caught on a little bit with our producers this week. Who are they?
Well, this week, new producers, we have Timothy coming in. Well, I don't know if they're new, actually. Some of these are repeat, but they're not doing recurring, which, by the way, all the recurring producers on PayPal, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, we don't always give shout-outs to those folks, but we do thank you. Timothy, coming in.
Thank you very much, Timothy.
With support, and also Steven. I wish I had my Steven ISO. I probably have it somewhere. Steven. And also coming in, Katie, producer Katie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katie. All right, that was very fun. Yeah, people are getting on board with the one-time donations, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you guys for producing today's show. We could not do it without you people. And if you want to become a producer, feel some ownership of the Canary Cry News Talk live streams as well as podcasts, things like that, and just feel like you're doing something good to keep media that you appreciate flowing, you can head to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
There you go. Okay, there's other ways to support the show, become a producer, and one of those ways is creating art. If you are an artist or a graphic artist or graphic designer, that's much appreciated. You can also send in jingles if there's a jingle that is needed on the show. Or music. At the end of the show, we got the Canary Cry mixtape. It's been a while since we've had new music come in. And, I get it. It's always a little stressful to share music that you've created. But if you're a musician, don't put too much work into it, or too much, not work into it, but, if you don't have a professional sound recording studio, that's okay. If you write a little song that's related to the show in one way or another, send it in to us. We'll play it at the end of the show. Everybody will appreciate it. We love the songs we already have on the mixtape, but I think we need some more in there. So all you musicians out there, I know there's a ton of you, make sure to write some songs, send it in. And if you got any of those things, you can send it to Canary Cry. Let's share this great email. I'm going to share this email here.
Before we do that, we do have some artwork that we have to show.
Oh, great. Show us the artwork.
Screen.
What do we got?
First one, of course, we have, I think it was, oh boy, I think I messed up the name here. Or maybe I didn't.
Is that Garrett? That looks like Garrett.
It is Garrett, and he did send us a Nephilim update piece of art, kind of a, I don't know. You're better at describing these things.
It?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it's
trying to
very
do two things
cool.
at once,
it's
too.
Sort of silhouettes of in the foreground. It's a man with a sword. It's not detailed out. It's like his shadow, his silhouette, and off in the distance, far in the distance, beyond the mist and beyond the hills, you can see a giant looming in the distance. And very good Nephilim update art here, so thank you very much, Garrett. Very talented.
Again, she has I guess this is another old one, but it's called Mind's Eye. Definitely little creepy. It's
very good. It was kind of psychedelic looking here. You got the outline of a human shoulders, neck, and head, and the head looks like this person is very stressed.
The face is getting sucked into the mind with ones and zeros.
There is a wave. There's like a frequency wave that's going through the head, and it is causing this person much confusion. And do not follow Elon's.
Thank you, Gabriella, for this piece of art. And of course, we got
Information Overload is what this one is called.
Information Overload, yes. And then we also got one that we have to show from Allie.
Oh, yeah.
Gazel and Bonds.
Thank you very much. Gazel and Bonds, yes. And again, Bonds and Basil and the random Jabberjay. And there's two canaries, one of them with guns.
Yeah.
And we are rattling the cage of possibly the most annoying bird, Jabberjay. And there
and that's always welcome.
And if you guys want to see the artwork, you can see it on our Facebook page. Just search Canary Cry Radio, or you can look at the show notes. There's definitely a lot of great content. I'm loving this. Basil and Gons, I saw your assignment for producers in the Monday email blast and wanted to let you in on the fun that I've been having sharing the show over the past few days, weeks, and months. It's been a fun time. First, some context. In my time of semi-isolation, I began online dating. And then parenthetical, horrible idea. Really, 6 out of 10. Would not recommend to the faint-hearted. As conversations.
Before you go on, just for fuller context, in the email that we sent out Monday, which was actually on the patreon.com/CCNT post, we basically called all the producers to share the show, rattle someone's cage, and then tell us about it. And she was the only one that reported back. So
yeah,
thank you, Madeline.
This was great. Thank Madeline. You are a champ, and we recommend everybody else. Let us know your rattling the cages stories you have, because these are great.
Yes.
Okay, continuing. As conversations, now talking about her online dating experience here.
Yes.
As conversations turn to the topic of podcasts and or current events, I occasionally bring CCNT up and recommend it to the people I'm chatting with to share the spectrum of reactions with you. And here we go, a list of reactions from people that she has shared the show with. Polish guy from Christian Cafe, direct quote from email convo. And so this is Polish guy says, BTW, I've listened to one episode of Canary News. That's not what it's called. And pardon my Clatchian, WTF. I mean, the amount of... the amount of absurd was staggering, which in itself is not necessarily bad, but half the time I wasn't sure if it's sarcasm or are the for real. When they start bashing CRISPR for viral testing, it sounds like they actually thought that, but perhaps I just don't know them well enough to understand what's going on. And oh, what's with the space Pope reptilian? They really confused this Polish
people.
guy. That's
really
funny.
good. Yeah.
Like they started bashing CRISPR. It sounded like they actually thought that. Well, joke's on you, Polish guy. Continuing on, software developer guy from Match.com shakes head solemnly, begins a lecture on how sad it is that so many people are being misguided by alarmism and poorly reasoned anti-science misinformation. Ooh, does not sound like a match, Madeline.
No.
Does not sound like a match. Then she rounds it out here. Engineer guy from Match.com. Okay, engineer guy, what do you got? All right, engineer guy in the online dating contest. Just last night, I shared it with another guy. He brought up how he was going down the rabbit hole on conspiracy topics and wished he could get a Christian perspective on subjects like aliens. And it was the perfect opportunity to, here we go, I pitched Basil's Joyspiracy Theory podcast as well. He sounded intrigued. Then there's a nice little parenthetical here. If you decide to, let me make sure you can do 2 things for me. Okay, we're going to do 2 things for you. 1, tell everybody listening me up and a reminder of God's faithfulness, even in the weirdest and hardest of times. Well, thank you very much, Madeline. Thank you for that shout out that I get to read on my own show here. And yeah, for those who don't know, I've been doing another podcast called The Joyspiracy Theory. Just search it on your podcatcher. I started out interviewing other authors and researchers and content creators. Mike Heiser's on there, Derek and Sharon Gilbert, Josh Peck, even Mario, the Vigilant Christian, all sorts of those types of people that we all know and love. But the problem was I quickly ran out of those people. So I started interviewing listeners of Canary Cry Radio, and man, just the stories, the life stories, the testimonies, the hurdles that a lot of these our beloved listeners have overcome, really has been a really rewarding experience talking to them. And I hope you guys like it too. And it was specifically created, the Joyspiracy Theory podcast, to give a relief from listening to all the heavy type stuff, that we talk about. Not that it isn't heavy. It is quite heavy at times. But it's all, the story of God working in people's lives. So there you go. If you want to check it out, make sure to check out the Joyspiracy Theory. You'll notice I haven't posted a lot of episodes recently because most of my energy has been going into doing these shows, but I have a few in the can that I'm going to be putting out. And so now's your time to catch up on the Joyspiracy Theory podcast, because new ones will be coming out soon. Continuing with the favors we're doing for Madeline here, says, give a shout out to everyone who may be listening for the first time. Thanks for trying it out, especially if you heard it from me, she says. So yes, a big old shout out from Madeline to everybody who's listening to the podcast for the first time. Welcome, and we hope you find a home here. And let me just browse the end of her email here. Anyways, I hope you guys get some laughs and encouragement from this email. We definitely did. Thank you. And are comforted by the tale of Engineer Guy. We do. We love Engineer Guy. Engineer Guy, if you're listening, send us an email. Apparently, the algorithms are doing their job and promoting your podcast to people who didn't look for it. Yay! It's been fun to stay caught up on current events with you, and I appreciate the fun you bring to all these very not fun stories we have to sort through for kernels of truth. Well, thank you very much, Madeline. We appreciate the email very much, and we encourage other people. Email us your stories of rattling cages. You can send those emails to canarycryradio@gmail.com. Whether you're online dating or even waking people up in the real life space, go ahead and let us know. And Madeline makes a good point here. Apparently, the algorithms are doing their job in promoting your podcast to people who didn't look for it. And that's only because of the people who have been leaving ratings and reviews. I've been mentioning it the past week or so. The algorithms is one part of the show we really don't have any control over. And it's really in the control of you listeners. When you leave ratings and reviews, it tells the algorithms to share the show with other people. So that's another great way for you to help out the show. Just think, if you just take the couple minutes to leave a rating and a review, that might influence the algorithm to share the show with somebody who's never heard of it before. And you could, butterfly effect, be helping to wake somebody up. So we encourage everybody to do that. Go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the podcast version of the show, which everybody should be subscribed to. Search Canary Cry News Talk on any podcatcher. Subscribe, leave a rating and a review. Here is the proof that leaving ratings and reviews helps the algorithms, which helps people find the show. So there you go. Okay, Gons, anything else for this break? And I can't wait to hear other people's rattling the cages stories.
Yeah.
Canary Cry Radio.
Good or bad, we'll hear them all here. Positive, negative.
Even if you got into a fist fight trying to tell somebody to listen about the space pope reptilian, I want to hear the story.
Yeah, all those canaries in the cage.
That's right. You ready to wake up, Gons?
Yes.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay. Oh, I did get seen some tweets come in, people discovering that Epstein had provided information to the FBI as agreed upon on one of the documents that was released from 2008.
Oh, interesting.
But it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's more of like didn't we know this? I thought we knew this.
Gons, again, we knew this. We've known this since 2015. We've known about Epstein specifically, not just the existence of. Right. And yes, so you and I have known this, but it is a big deal that it's coming out into the mainstream. Because now we can feel better about spouting fringy craziness for 5 years, because it's all coming to light. And B, people can really wake up to what's going on in the world around them. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and there's some people responding to some of these tweets, talking about, it's the FBI. I thought he worked for the Mossad. And it's like, who runs the Mossad, or who runs the FBI in this country?
You also, you don't understand they don't understand the relationship that intelligence agencies between the United States and Israel share.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep. Which is, I think, very scriptural, by the way. But we won't get into that. Go read the book of Revelation.
Oh, here's a little note from Beth Webbis in the chat. That is Madeline. She says, thanks for reading my email.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to know she's in chat. Thank you for being there, Beth Webbis / Madeline. All right, let's get into the story.
Here we go. A few COVID updates.
COVID.
If you're working alone, wear a mask.
And goggles.
The mask's not for you. It's to protect the people you care about.
And goggles. BusinessInsider.com. Anthony Fauci said eye coverings might eventually be recommended in the U.S. You should probably use it if you can. Or I'm sorry, let me try a Fauci impression. You should probably use it if you can.
I'll give you a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I should. Okay, read this story and then we'll get into it.
To maximize your chances of avoiding a coronavirus infection, it's wise to cover your eyes, Dr. Fauci said on Wednesday. Wow. The metaphorical part of that is just poetic. Okay, quote, if you have goggles or an eye shield, you should use it. Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, told ABC health correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton, quote, it's not universally recommended, but if you really want to be complete, you should probably use it if you can. Complete, huh? Interesting terminology. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention already recommends eye protection for healthcare workers, but not for everyday use. That's because eyes aren't the main source of coronavirus transmission. That would be problematic if it was, if you look at someone and you can give them COVID. The virus spreads primarily via respiratory droplets when someone talks, coughs, or sneezes. Others that get infected when these droplets enter their nose or mouth. Though the virus can invade through any mucous membrane, including the eyes, quote, theoretically, you should protect all the mucosal surfaces, Fauci said. But he added, quote, it's just that it's so easy for people to just make a cloth mask. Dr. Deborah Birx, the White House coronavirus response coordinator, also suggested using face shields as an added layer of protection on Thursday. Quote, the thing about the face shields, we think that could protect the individuals and that it would decrease the ability for them to touch their eyes and spread the virus as well as those droplets coming towards them, Birx told Fox and Friends. So yeah, eye coverings might play a role in reducing transmission. Public health guidelines aren't set in stone. At the start of the pandemic, the U.S. population wasn't told to wear face masks, but the practice is now universally recommended due to the discovery that asymptomatic patients can pass the coronavirus just as easily as patients with symptoms. Scientists also discovered that cloth coverings still help.
Which, again, goes directly against what the WHO said about a month ago.
Yeah.
Saying that asymptomatic people are very rarely spread the disease.
Yeah, yeah. Which, by the way, along these lines, we did get an email from Maria who gave us a link which said that Wisconsin, if you're out there in Wisconsin, is joining 33. And so let's continue on here. It's possible that a similar process could happen with eye coverings if the U.S. does not get its outbreak under control, though masks are far easier to make and procure. Oh my gosh. And a June review in The Lancet found that eye coverings like goggles, face shields, or visors might substantially reduce coronavirus infections. Quote,
do glasses count?
I don't know. Probably not, because you can kind of get around it.
A face shield is an open air,
I know.
Just a little shield. It's not sealed in any way.
Quote, eye protection is typically under-considered and can be effective in community settings, the researchers wrote. Quote, however, no intervention, even when properly used, was associated with complete protection from infection. And goes on to the CDC stuff, and do glasses help? Oh, glasses, here we go. Do glasses help? They answer your question. Standard eyeglasses offer less protection than goggles or shields since the virus can enter through the top, bottom, or sides.
Oh, you mean like almost any mask anybody's wearing?
But glasses could still discourage a person from touching their eyes with unwashed hands, reducing the risk that a person could get sick after touching a coronavirus-laden surface.
Wow.
In March, the American Academy of Optics, suggested that people may want to switch from contact lenses to glasses to avoid touching their eyes, but the CDC has said there's no evidence that contact lens wearers have a higher risk of infection than eyeglass wearers. Oh, gosh, this is out of control. Quote, I don't think the issue is so much that contact lenses as it is...
Just a quick point of analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that if you're wearing contact lenses, there's no evidence to say that you're any less safe than somebody wearing glasses. That answer is probably yes, because the science behind this wear goggles thing is so amorphous in the first place. If they're saying contact lenses won't protect you less than glasses, well, then okay, that could mean absolutely nothing. Show me the study on this.
I don't think the issue is so much the contact lenses as it is hand hygiene before inserting or taking out the contact lenses. Dr. Gregory Poland, an infectious disease expert, told the Mayo Clinic in April. Indeed, the Lancet study found that face masks and eye coverings shouldn't be a replacement for social distancing or hand washing, but a person could lower their risk by implementing the measures in tandem. So there you go. Cover your eyes.
All right, cover your eyes.
Cover your eyes, cover your mouth, cover your nose.
We're going to need to start donning the full-on gas mask. I've got my gas masks. I'm ready for, the Black Swan event. Maybe now's the time. Just start wearing gas masks all around town. It would actually be more comfortable than wearing the regular mask in a lot of ways. And, you get a lot of that attention, a lot of virtue signaling, Oh, you're just wearing a cloth mask? Ugh, why do you want to kill my grandma? You conspiracy theorist, wear your full-on gas mask.
That's what's coming. I'm going to put out a theory, mostly sarcastically. This is a contrarian theory, okay? So this is like...
Oh, you don't say.
This is like the contrarian theory. So maybe all these people want us to cover our faces and basically get to that point of wearing gas masks around because they know of an impending alien attack of some kind of aerosol spray around or on top of the earth. And they just want everybody.
About us
they care about us, so that they want us to walk around looking like Darth Vader to protect ourselves, and that the compliant ones will survive.
Daddy Fauci cares for us so much that might actually make sense. He just wants to protect us from dangers we don't even understand.
I did have this other thing where Jim Jordan is going after Fauci in the in one of the what is it? Shoot! Sorry, I've got to stop it. Sorry. During one of the house things that they do every once in a while. But I don't know. Should we skip it? It's kind of, it went viral. It got shared 35,000 times.
Well, what are we doing on time? Do you got to get out of here?
Pretty
soon?
close. Yeah, pretty soon here.
Well, how long is the clip?
It's like 4 minutes. 5 minutes. It's
that's
long.
Pretty long.
It's long. And basically, so Representative Jim Jordan pressed Anthony Fauci with a series of combative questions on Friday, asking him whether the government should limit protests to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. And Jim Jordan, he's one of the more the likable guys, or at least for me, I like the guy in there. And he basically tweeted out, "Can't go to church, can't go to work, can't go to school." Even Dr. Fauci says protesting is dangerous, but Democrats encourage people to riot and protest in the streets. And basically, he was trying to get Fauci to admit or to suggest
that the protesting is dangerous.
Yes.
You know, just expressing sound human logic.
Right. And he tried to play it off like, I leave that to the politicians. I'm not a politician. I'm just trying to give you the science.
That's so unlike you, Daddy Fauci.
Yeah.
Since when do you care what politicians say?
Yeah, so
when it has to do with things that can get them canceled, that's what it has to do with.
Mm-hmm. So just keeping an eye on that. Good job, Jim Jordan, exposing some of that. But of course, that's just right-wing conspiracy theory.
Of course.
COVID. Vaccine.
Okay, I'm over here at Reuters.com.
Did you see that email?
Somebody
emailed us.
Wow.
And said, tell Basil it's not Reuters, it's Reuters.
So tempted to shame this person, but I'm not going to. I will pronounce Reuters or Reuters, however I want.
Triggering that guy.
I know. I'm gonna see. Here's the problem: people who send me emails and complain in the chat about stuff that they don't like.
Like,
about
why
me,
are you wearing a mask? Talking
guys,
about masks.
I am the most annoying contrarian you will ever encounter. It literally just makes me dig my heels into whatever.
I know. You're just making
especially
him
if there's
more...
not a good reason for it. If it's, oh, I don't like his eyeballs, or oh, he says Reuters wrong. He's supposed to be a professional, to quote the email.
Oh, I don't like his eyeballs.
That's debatable. Like that. But here we are in Reuters.com. I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean to people, but you know what? That's how I respond. I'll take
mean
criticism.
To me, I'll be mean to you.
I'll take criticism, but you better do it in the right way. Here we go. Reuters.com. Large U.S. COVID-19 vaccine trials will exclude pregnant women for now. The first two COVID-19 vaccines to enter large-scale U.S. trials will not be tested in pregnant women this year, raising questions about how this vulnerable population will be protected from the coronavirus, researchers told Reuters. Moderna and Pfizer, which has partnered with Germany's BioNTech this week, separately launched clinical trials that use a new and unproven gene-based technology. By the way, this mRNA vaccine thing.
Yeah.
This didn't occur to me until it started coming out recently. That there are no other mRNA vaccines.
Yeah,
it's not a technology that is commonly used. It's never been used. It's a completely new theory of vaccination. So not only are we trying to make a new vaccine for a new disease, according to the experts, but we're trying an entirely new technology of vaccines that's never been, I'm sure it's been tested, but it's never been approved before. So that's also concerning.
Yeah,
but,
that's part of that's what a lot of like the vaccine is the mark of the beast narrative surrounded that particular factoid.
Right.
Was that it's going to change our DNA, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Both companies are requiring proof of a negative wow, this is difficult. I don't know if my mushroom powder is helping me on these cold reads here. Both companies are requiring proof of a negative pregnancy test and a commitment to using birth control from women of childbearing age who enroll. Wow. Drug makers say they first need to make sure the vaccines are safe and effective more generally. In addition, U.S. regulators require that drug makers conduct safety studies in pregnant animals before the vaccines are tested in pregnant women to ensure they don't harm the fetus or lead to miscarriage. Bioethicists, vaccine and maternal health experts have argued for years that pregnant women should be included early in trials of pandemic vaccines so they would not need to wait until long after a successful candidate emerges. That debate fell on deaf ears as recent outbreaks of Ebola and Zika, but has taken on new urgency in the era of COVID-19 as studies show pregnant women are at increased risk of severe disease from the new coronavirus. Quote, It's a problem because if vaccines are not tested in pregnancy, they may not be available or people may not be comfortable offering them, said Dr. Denise Jamieson, chief of gynecology and obstetrics for Emory Healthcare in Atlanta. According to the 2012 census, 75.4 million U.S. women were of childbearing age, defined as 15 to 50. Wow, that's quite the range. Currently pregnant women are recommended to take flu and whooping cough vaccines and certain others depending on individual circumstances, but none of these have been specifically tested and proven safe for pregnant women. Quote, we have an enormous number of women of childbearing age and potentially getting pregnant, and what's the safest vaccine for them, said Dr. Larry Corey, a vaccine expert at Fred Hutchinson's Cancer Center in Seattle, who is helping oversee vaccine trials conducted by Moderna and other drug makers in collaboration with the U.S. government. Doctors may use those in pregnancy. You know, this is interesting, and I just want to say this now so I don't forget it by the end of the story here, but this might be the key that anti-vax women are looking for. You know, if the vaccine comes out and you're between 15 and 50, you can either just get pregnant or say that you're pregnant or something, because it sounds like they're not going to give you the vaccine if you're pregnant. So
down with the New World Order. Have babies.
Well, and it is interesting, yeah, because that's a conversation we've had, which I did not plan on getting in again here. But yeah, if you are pregnant, A, you can get out of taking the vaccine, and B, you can start fighting against the depopulation trend that we're going to see. We covered that story last week regarding the mass depopulation that is projected over the next 50 years. 50 to 80 years. Right. You know, they're talking about countries like the U.S. and others. No, the U.S. was fine, but Japan and all sorts of other coverage in order for population growth, and that's just not happening. And just real quick, just to kind of weasel this into the conversation as well, I was having a conversation recently with a listener talking about depopulation and vaccines and Bill Gates and this whole thing, which everybody is probably aware of. And the New World Order sort of mission to depopulate, get the Earth down to 500,000 humans, which is written on the Georgia Guidestones, sort of an Illuminati manifesto set up in a Stonehenge type way over there in Georgia.
Made by or funded by at least Rosicrucian.
Yes, that's right. But, you know, my point in this conversation was, look, I'm not debating any of the conspiracy theories right now, but the thing is, we don't need a mass killer vaccine to depopulate the world. We don't need, some sort of crazy conspiracy theory to kill off half the population. It's, the progress of women having careers and birth control and abortion and things like that are already, and just the changing of the family dynamic of, less people being incentivized to have more children. That alone, take away any killer vaccine, even the coronavirus itself or any other, conspiracy theory that's based on the depopulation of the world. You don't need any of that. We're simply going to cut the world's population in half simply by, the cultural shifts that are leading to less babies being made. So anyways, just keep that in mind next time you get into that whole conversation. All right, moving on. Johnson & Johnson, which kicked off a small-scale safety trial for its COVID-19 vaccine this week, is using the same underlying technology that it used with its Ebola vaccine, which has been used in 1,000 pregnant women in Democratic Republic of Congo. Larger studies with that vaccine are now underway. J&J's chief scientific officer, Dr. Paul Stoffels, told Reuters the company has done many years of extensive preclinical study with the Ebola vaccine, including on pregnant animals, and has not seen any challenges. Okay, nice little typo there. Stoffels said J&J would decide in the next few weeks whether it will include pregnant women in its large phase 3 late-stage trial for COVID-19 vaccine due to start in September. Pfizer expects to start toxicology studies in pregnant animals shortly, with data ready to review by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in the first quarter of 2021. Studies in pregnant women could start sometime afterward. And there's quite a bit more in the article, mainly just going company by company and, explaining who and who isn't testing on pregnant women. But more or less, this is a concern to some, mainstream, credible doctors.
Yeah. And the whole situation here with, this hits close to home with the pregnant wife here too, but, I'm kind of like secretly going, thank goodness she's not going to get a vaccine or any kind of test vaccine.
She's safe for the next,
3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Ooh, I guessed right. Look how good I am at tracking your life, tracking your wife's pregnancy.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole conversation in general is sort of, I don't know. You kind of touched on all the points there, but it seems like
did it.
Yeah, you did it. But it seems like the sentiment here is just so interesting. How it's like, how are we going to protect the pregnant women? What are we going to do? It's just such a weird.
Wear your mask, or else you'll kill a bunch of unborn babies.
Wear your mask. Put on your goggles. I'm gonna strap a gas mask on my wife's face while she's going into the hospital. I should get a Darth Vader mask just for fun.
The whole wear goggles thing gives a whole new meaning to the term weaponized tears. Have you heard this term?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so weaponized tears has made it into the conversation recently because, the conversation is about white people crying because they're so sad about how racist they are, and black people are just tired of these weaponized white tears.
Yeah.
They're like, just figure it out. Don't cry. I don't care if you're so sad. Just stop being racist and don't cry at me about it. But now weaponized tears could be your COVID-19 laced tears that you shoot from your eyes when a Karen comes up to you in a drugstore.
Should bottle it up and sell it as little bombs or something.
Maybe, or just use it as a vaccine.
Use it as a vaccine or like
COVID
a holy water.
Tears will train your immune system.
All right, we got one last story here.
COVID.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This is from waterworld.com. Israeli scientists pinpoint COVID-19 outbreaks in sewer surveillance pilot project. Oh, yes. Israel. Kando, a leader in wastewater management technology, along with leading researchers from top Israeli institutions, including Ben-Gurion University and the Technion, announced today initial findings of a pilot project aimed at detecting outbreaks of COVID-19 in the city of Ashkelon, Israel, approximately 150,000 residents, by identifying traces of the coronavirus in the municipal sewage system. The researchers demonstrated the ability for early detection of outbreaks in wastewater. This city-scale pilot study also demonstrated the ability to locate hotspots down to specific neighborhoods and even city streets. Oh, my goodness. The coastal city of Ashkelon was chosen as the pilot site as it was believed to have a low number of cases, aside from the city's coronavirus hotels housing COVID-19 patients. But what researchers discovered was something entirely different. Significant remnants of the coronavirus in municipal wastewater, indicating early detection of outbreaks in local neighborhoods. The results suggested that tracking coronavirus remnants in the sewer network is a timelier and more efficient gauge of the extent of outbreaks than testing individuals, especially given the asymptomatic nature or delay in symptoms of those suffering from COVID-19. And it goes on a little bit here, but for the sake of time, the results of the pilot study will offer authorities capabilities for early detection of new outbreaks and can help avoid total lockdowns by pinpointing affected areas. Helping identify hubs of contagion can allow a much more localized response, avoiding the need for more sweeping lockdown measures. Quote, identifying traces of the coronavirus in city wastewater is extremely challenging due to the various types of substances found in sewage systems, including industrial wastewater, which can dilute or destroy remnants of the virus, said Professor Nadav Davidovich, Director, School of Public Health at Ben Gurion University. Quote, our unique methodology enables us to detect and trace the presence of the virus and calculate its concentration with these substances factored into the equation and to integrate epidemiological evidence in order to pinpoint emerging COVID-19 hotspots. This will allow authorities to take action to contain further outbreaks. This type of interdisciplinary science will continue to help disease containment methods for coronavirus and beyond. And so they're basically surveilling the wastewater.
That's very interesting.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that, even you think like, just psychologically, when you flush a toilet or like, I don't know, throw something away, you're kind of like, all right, getting rid of that.
It's gone.
It's gone,
Not my problem
Not
anymore.
my problem anymore. But now it's everyone's problem.
Yeah. This is very interesting. And it's highlighted even more. I don't know if you wanted to read more of this, but I know we're short on time. So I wanted to hit this last paragraph here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Quote, monitoring our sewers is like taking the blood test of a city, said Ari Goldfarb, CEO of Condo. Quote, the successful initial results of this pilot study demonstrate that our sophisticated wastewater monitoring systems can help detect new outbreaks and determine exactly where and how serious they are, along with our distinguished partners at Ben Gurion University and the Technion. We've demonstrated that we can offer actionable insights to authorities, alarming them to outbreaks. That's very correctly put. Alarming them to outbreaks before residents are symptomatic. Our hope is to help cities around the world prevent wholesale shutdowns and mitigate future outbreaks. And I think where you were going with this, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I got this mushroom powder coursing through my veins.
It finally
is
hit you.
that, when it comes to, getting your testing and the door-to-door testing that's been, threatened around the country and the world. And, you got to submit to authorities so they can figure out if you're a danger and isolate you and things like that. It seems like with this kind of technology, you don't even need to consent. You don't need to consent to somebody coming to your door and taking a swab of your nose.
Right.
They can just test these sewers at different intervals and figure out, where some COVID is living within the city. They may not be able to pinpoint it to your house, but they could at least know this neighborhood has, X amount of COVID in their sewage.
Yeah.
Let's lock down the whole neighborhood, baby.
Yeah. Lock down the neighborhood instead of the whole state or the whole city. So this is for your own good. Slaves.
And it's kind of like going through your garbage.
Yeah.
You look out there, you've got some guys in gas masks and bunny suits digging through your garbage. Well, it's kind of doing the same thing with the sewage system. That's very interesting.
I mean, this is a whole different level of surveillance. This isn't like looking into your house or whatever. It's just your waste, and then coming to conclusions about neighborhoods or just, particular regions. I don't know, man. Very disturbing if you ask me.
Yeah, well,
and on that note,
again, kind of moving on.
It's almost zero consent unless you want to really be like, hey, I don't want you touching my excrements there, and my neighbors don't want it either. You got to come to some kind of agreement within your neighborhood to try to stop some stuff.
I think once you flush that toilet, it's out of your hands. Mawilba in the chat says sewer snitch. And that's exactly what it is. Sewer snitches.
That should have been the name of the episode.
Kind of brings up the image of the Ghostbusters movie where all the evil is congealing in the sewers beneath the city.
Right.
Making everybody sick and angry and aggressive.
I remember that. Yes.
Now it's the coronavirus just living, growing, waiting, learning.
Okay. I think we're done here. I got to get out of here.
Okay. I think we're done here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, we will stand in opposition together against the overwhelming economic system of this world by helping Gonz and I not have to selling it to corporations. We don't want to do that. And you can help us by supporting us, becoming a producer of the show. Head to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Join up there. There's a great little community in Patreon. You know, we've never really mentioned that, but Patreon has like a back end where it's like a little community of people who support it, take some responsibility for the media that's going out there, part of keeping it going. And, you know, you can we're under 200 supporters. You know, I feel like a lot of people are thinking like, oh, a ton of people support the show already. They don't need my $1, $5 a month or whatever. It is a small group, a very small percentage of listeners who support the show. And so, you know, if you support us on patreon.com/CCNT, you are joining right as of this moment. You are in the top 200 of people who support the show. You know, 200 people have, not counting PayPal, who have committed to keeping the show going. And so, you know, you join an elite group of people to put value back in, and the big wheel keeps on turning. So we appreciate that very much. Thank you to all our new producers. Thank you to the artists who sent in art. Thank you to Madeline for sending us your email about rattling some cages. All that stuff is available to you, dear listener. To interact with us, send us emails, send us art, that sort of stuff. Become a producer of the show in all sorts of ways, and make sure to send us your stories about rattling cages. Let's see here. You can also support the show, again, by leaving ratings and reviews. You heard in the email how important it is to leave ratings and reviews. Gonz and I have no control over what the algorithms do, whether they show the podcast to people or not. That is up to you, dear listeners. So if you leave ratings and reviews, thank you very much. We'll read some on the show here in the next few episodes. You guys are the best. But here's the thing. Y'all have friends and family who are waking up and they need their cages rattled, and you want to rattle it so bad. Well, great way to do that is to just share the show with them. Send them an episode. Tell them to download it. Let them know about Space Pope Reptilian. Let them know to take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine. And we will help them in that journey of waking up, realizing that the world is not what it seems. And if you need any other advice, here it is. You just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
Rattle her cage a little bit more.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, everybody. Just ask Noah. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back on Monday. That's right, Monday. Wow, what's the date on Monday? That must be the
August 3rd? Yeah, crazy.
3rd? Yeah,
August already.
August 3rd. Holy smokes. Make sure to catch the show on August 3rd. It's a Monday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure to do the translation to your own time zone there. We'll have more stories, more craziness. We'll let you know how they're going to be keeping an eye on you, not just your sewage. Who knows? What's next? You never know. But there you go. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
safe in my people's zoo.
Canaries in a cage.
It will kill.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I wanna shake things up, shake things up. I wanna shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I wanna stir up some controversy. I wanna rattle a few cages. I wanna rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. You're fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.